I'd like to call this meeting of the Valley Center-Pauma Unified School District Board of Trustees to order, and as we have a quorum, we shall begin and recess into closed session and reconvene at 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Valley Center-Pauma Unified School District Board of Trustees. We are now reconvening from closed session as we have a quorum. And before we start anything, Mr. McCown has a quick announcement.
Yes, as we look at what the different protocols that we are under for COVID, we are considered a public meeting. And so for a public meeting, masks are not mandated at this time. So feel free to make a choice of whether or not you'd like to wear your mask. And we as board members will make our decisions and whether or not we'll wear a mask at this time too. And so that's kind of the protocol for this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Before we have the Pledge of Allegiance, we'd like to offer a moment of silence for those folk in Ukraine and for those serving in our country and areas nearby. At this time, Stephanie McIntyre will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So at this time, the report of any action resulting from closed session. Tonight in closed session, the board took action to release temporary certificated employees identified by employee numbers pursuant to Education Code Section 44954, effective at the end of the 2021-22 school year, and ratified the legal notices to be issued to these employees, and the vote was unanimous. Also at this time, in another action, tonight in closed session, the board took action to deny the leave of absence for employee 600699 for the 2022-23 school year. And again, the vote was also unanimous on that. At this time, we have the approval of the agenda, item D, for additions, deletions, or corrections. Mr. Superintendent, I believe you have an addition to the contract list.
Yes, President Adams, tonight we have two additions to our contract list. The first one is a contract for a new ticketing system for the Maxine Theater. And then also we have received new bids for our E-rate category 2 RFP bids. This is for our fiber optic cabling and the firewall upgrade. The details are laid out on your table for each board member.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Do I have a motion for the approval of the agenda as amended?
I'll make a motion.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, I'll also call for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
And Member Adams votes aye. And now we move to a very happy part of our evening. We have a recognition and presentations, and tonight it's Valley Center High School. And we would like to recognize Mr. Abel Huerta for Classified Employee of the Month and Jeff Tuttle as the Certificated Employee of the Month, presented by Mr. Mark Halewood, Principal.
Good evening, members of the board, President Adams, Superintendent McCowan, District Administrators, staff, and guests. It is my pleasure to present our Certificated and Classified Employees of the Month. I'd like to start with our Classified Employee of the Month, Abel Huerta. Abel, if you could come up and join me. There are so many people who make a school great, and without them doing their job and caring about their work every day, things would fall apart quickly. Abel is one of these people. He takes pride in the role he plays at Valley Center High School, and that pride carries through all he does. As one of our custodians at the high school, he supports our lower campus and many of our athletic and sporting facilities. Abel is known by our staff and students as someone who takes care of them. For each of our sports teams, Abel is an honorary member. When Abel found out that his colleagues had nominated him as our Classified Employee of the Month, I let him know that he would need to come to tonight's board meeting to be recognized. His first thought was about our school and our students. His response, maybe not word for word, but was along the lines of, Mr. Halewood, I think we've got a game that night. I got to make sure things are set up. this is why we love Abel. He is someone who works so hard, wants our school to be clean, well-maintained, to present well to the community, and be welcoming. One of Abel's colleagues shared, Abel is one of the most hardworking people I have ever met. Whatever needs to be done, he's there to do it. I can think of so many times when Abel has helped me as a principal. Times when I needed to rely on those around me and have someone who, when I ask, is willing to come forward and say, yes, I can do that. Abel, I want you to know, personally, how much I appreciate the support and dedication you've given me this year. Abel is so much to our students and staff, and we love him for everything he does. Please join me in congratulating Abel Huerta as the Valley Center High School Classified Employee of the Month.
Let's take a picture over here.
While they take that picture, I'd like to make just one quick comment about Abel. Abel was also in charge of the gym when I was here as principal, and we spent many evenings down there. And one of the things I really love about Abel is how proud he is of his children. And if you ever ask Abel about his kids, I mean, he beams when he talks about his sons and daughters. And Abel, I've always appreciated those conversations and how much pride you take in your children.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and I am happy for recognition, and I try the best every day to do a good job, and I will continue to do that. And thank you again.
Next, I would like to, congratulations. Next, I'd like to invite our certificated employee of the month, Mr. Jeff Tuttle. Jeff, if you could join me up at the front. Mr. Jeff Tuttle has been a teacher at Valley Center High School for more than, I believe, 21 years. Over that time, he has grown to become a core part of the Valley Center High School Social Studies Department, our school culture, and continues to represent the best of our school community. Also known as the voice of the Jaguars, he is a staple at Friday night football games, basketball games, and all of our school events. In the classroom, Jeff provides his students with a caring, challenging, and fun environment to learn world history and currently AP, European history. When asked, some of his colleagues shared, for decades now, he's old, really old. Jeff has been, that's his colleagues, not me. Jeff has been an outstanding teacher in this community. He's made our kids love history. When not teaching or supporting students in some capacity, he generally gives his free time to serve as the voice of the Jaguars at nearly every sporting event. Equally important, Jeff has been a mentor to me and dozens of other VCHS teachers. Another colleague shared, Jeff is an amazing teacher and an absolutely awesome all-around guy. Jeff is smart, witty, hardworking, and cares greatly about his students and his colleagues. Jeff's students love him and learn lots from him, and so do his colleagues. I can't think of a more deserving individual for this recognition. One more colleague, in kind of a short and sweet fashion, shared, he has great rapport with his students, he goes above and beyond for them, and has been doing this for decades. Jeff is loved by his colleagues, despite the jokes about his age, because he practices what he preaches. Soon, Jeff will be stepping out of the classroom to become a teacher on special assignment, where he will be guiding some of our intervention efforts at Valley Center High School. For me, that tells you everything you need to know about Jeff. He's all about the kids. He wants the best for every student at our school and wants our school to be a great place for our staff, all of our students, and the community of Valley Center. Please join me in congratulating Jeff Tuttle as our Certificated Employee of the Month.
Thank you. Also, I'd like to say congratulations, Abel. There wouldn't be the voice of the Jaguars without a microphone and speaker. And a lot of people in this room have either it's a game or you've been put on a dance or an auction or something, and something's not working right. And when you see Abel turn the corner and come down the hall, it's, whoa! So you're the man, Abel. Thank you very much. Wow. I mean, I was 0 for 215 months, and now month 216 was the number, right? No, thank you so much. First, I want to thank God for allowing me to have a vocation. I want to thank my wife, Becky, for supporting someone whose job doesn't come with sales bonuses or executive retreats or things like that. A lot of the reward of teaching isn't transferable to your family, so I'd like to thank you for sticking by me for that. I'd like to thank my mom, who's watching at home on the simulcast, for giving my family a lot of opportunities that we might not have otherwise had. I want to thank the board. I want to thank this guy who came to see me teach in Ramona in 1999 and said, yeah, he might work out up here. So thank you, Ron. And this place is a huge part of my life. And, just weathering this all together. And I want to thank the board. This has been just a crazy and probably thankless couple of years. So thank you for serving your community. You're the best example of local politics and how things should be run. So thank you very much, and it's a great honor, and I'm thrilled to start my new position.
You don't want to call Jeff, you don't want to do a football call? Maybe call a touchdown for us?
A score.
I would like to just add in there for Jeff, because Jeff I've known for many years. In fact, Dr. Mulford asked me to drive to Ramona and go watch this guy teach and see if we would want to hire him. And I'm thinking, I got to drive all the way to Ramona? And let me tell you, it was the best trip I ever made to Ramona, and came back with a prize. So, Jeff, thanks for your years of service from that time on.
Thank you.
And can I just say, serving out, the extracurricular too, you've been with so many pieces that have just helped enhance the students' education outside of the classroom. So thank you. And your
That's right,
darling
Jen.
wife that's always there too. Team effort. Thank you.
It really is. Thank you again. At this time, we'd like to have a presentation for Math Pathways Towards College and Career Readiness, presented by Principal Mark Halewood.
Thank you so much for this opportunity tonight to present an overview of the pathways in mathematics that we are providing to students at Valley Center High School. Our math team, with your support, has been working hard to bring about some shifts in our math instruction to engage students in an updated series of courses that are aligned with state standards and prepare students to pursue post-high school college enrollment and future career goals. Here on the screen is an overview of our math pathways at Valley Center High School. This chart shows how a student moves through meeting math requirements for graduation and can meet A through G requirements for four-year colleges and universities. Although this chart starts with 9th grade, the pathway towards college and career readiness in math starts in kindergarten all the way through 8th grade, layering the foundation and building skills and understanding for students to start 9th grade with the state requirements of Algebra 1 or higher. Our goal as a school is to provide students with the instruction and supports they need to be successful. This may be a 4-year sequence of Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then Pre-Calculus or Applied Math. It may be an alternative path for some students that moves them through Algebra 1 over 2 years in our Math Essentials series, or an accelerated path that leads students to college-level courses taken in high school, such as AP Calculus and AP Statistics. In my presentation tonight, I will share a little bit about each of these courses and the work that our math team and students have been doing with some of the tools and new approaches taken to build engagement and excitement for mathematics. Two of the courses with some of the biggest shifts that have taken place are in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. Teachers like Amanda Wolford, Mark Saber, David Stout, and Susie Knoll have been working with our new Algebra 1 curriculum, Eureka Math, with the goal of giving students a strong foundation when they start their math journey in high school. Focusing on the why of mathematics, the Eureka Math curriculum helps students navigate the standards of Algebra 1 and 2 in a sequence that builds from concrete and real-world examples to developing a conceptual understanding that helps students navigate algebraic thinking in an academic setting. In Algebra 2, students continue to build on these understandings with teachers Amanda Wolford, Janelle Vasquez, and Mike Cummings. Eureka Math guides students through the story of math skills into high school with a suite of tools designed to assess student understanding, giving teachers diagnostic information so they can help support potential gaps from previous grade levels, all in an effort to develop math literacy and fluency. Along with the Eureka Math curriculum, several new tools are integrated into Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and many of our math courses. These newer resources, such as Khan Academy and Desmos, help students discover and explore algebra concepts with digital manipulatives that can be used to practice and delve deeper. This year, we have also brought the ALEX program to our Algebra 1 classes to individualize and target specific lessons for those students who need additional intervention due to learning gaps that may have occurred over the past 2 years. To describe some of these tools and share her experience in Algebra 1, I'd like to play a short audio clip from VCHS 9th grade student Emma Pinkerton.
My name is Emma Pinkerton. My grade level, I'm a 9th grader, and I'm in Algebra 1, Mr. Saber's class. Right now, currently, we're working with functions on a graph and figuring out how to manipulate it and how to read those graphs. Before we use code, like you would see on a computer to plot X values. Technology that we've been using are Desmos and Khan Academy. My favorite is the Desmos because it's mainly participation and they usually have the most interesting questions to ask, and you can go through, and then I'm always going to Mr. Saber to ask him okay, so if this happens, will that happen, and how do you do this? My favorite is using the Desmos graphing calculator because I can put in any equation and it'll graph it for me. I think in the first semester we used Desmos and it was working with linear graphs, and we'd see a person going in a timeline. So we'd see a person walking up a slide, sliding down the slide, walking forward, and then going up and down at a time. And what we had to do with a graph was figure out the X value was seconds, so how long did it take to go from point A to point B, and then the Y value is obviously how high he was when he goes up the slide, down the slide, when he stops, and you're just looking at the graph, and it'll go up and down the Y value, but keep going along the X value because we're working with time, and that's an example of real life. We're learning so many things that we can apply in life, like when you have to use interest for housing or banks, or when you need to find decreasing and increasing populations of anything, and it doesn't have to be about populations, it could be statistics, which is also one of my favorite things about math. It's not about memorizing things, it's about knowing what to use and then when to apply them. Next year, so I would definitely use Algebra 1, the principles of everything I've learned. Geometry, because math is really connected in so many ways. Even if you can't see it, it is. So I definitely can use here and just the knowledge, and also just everyday life and other things too. Math is fun. I love math.
So when I met with Emma, I actually spent about half an hour, and really she could have been here tonight just to give the whole presentation. Her understanding of Algebra 1, it was absolutely incredible. Moving through our high school pathway of mathematics, between Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, the second math course that students take is geometry. Building on supplementals that we have used in past years, geometry teachers Paige Prosser, Janelle Vasquez, and David Stout are guiding students through the exploration and discovery of geometry concepts using college prep math, also known as CPM. The problem-solving based approach of CPM provides students with an opportunity to interact and talk about math. The Desmos math program that you've heard described, combined with CPM, gives students an opportunity to interact with geometry concepts and manipulatives, such as applying the Pythagorean theorem as a tool to solve problems using diagonal distances in a situation that we all encounter in our daily lives. How can we take a shortcut to save time? Imagine every time you use Google Maps and how that theorem that we all may remember learning in school is now part of almost every GPS system that provides us with driving directions. A math pathway that builds college and career readiness also helps students apply the math concepts they are learning to their own lives and their road to become an adult. Aspects of this are done in all of our math courses, but specifically in our applied math class. Teacher Susie Knoll works with her students to review high school math concepts in application to their lives and financial literacy. Knowing how to build a budget, solve math problems that may come up in your taxes, figuring out how to apply for a loan and the math that's involved, and other elements of financial planning are key components of our applied math course. Continuing their path towards college and career readiness, students of VCHS can take pre-calculus with teacher Sarah Bachman, which brings together math skills and concepts in preparation for college-level math and high-level AP courses. Pre-calculus helps students strengthen their conceptual understanding and mathematical reasoning in solving problems and applying the math fluency that has been developed in their earlier courses in high school. Following pre-calculus, students have the opportunity to take college-level math in high school with the College Board-aligned AP Calculus course with Sarah Bachman also as their teacher. Concepts, methods, and application of differential and integral calculus are taught, and students are provided with an environment to use college-level math literacy and conventions to communicate and justify reasoning. To describe their experience, I'd like to play a short clip from AP Calculus students Drew Larson, Joshua Appleby, and Emily Sabara.
My name is Drew Larson. I'm a junior in our AP Calc class with Mrs. Bachman, and right now we are learning about integrals and summation, and this was feeding off of our unit we just had about area under the curve. And we're working right now with AP College Board to learn about those and using Riemann sums to add them up and find the values given by those curves.
I'm Joshua Appleby, and I'm also in Miss Bachman's AP Calculus class. A lot of the stuff we've been working on in class has to relate with rates over time for real-world applications, like how velocity relates to acceleration and things like that with areas under the curve. But generally, we've been working a lot with rates.
Hi, I'm Emily Sabara, and I'm also in AP Calculus. When I came into high school, I was in geometry, and then Algebra 1 and Pre-Calc, and now AP Calculus. Next year, I plan on attending a UC. I believe that the math courses I took here at Valley Center have prepared me to attend one of these UCs and succeed.
Imagine making a hypothesis about the number of shots made or missed in a basketball game. What might be the probability of a shot being made out of 5 attempts, 20, or even 10,000? In our AP Statistics course, we're using data visualization tools available from the College Board and Desmos. Students collect and analyze data for patterns and trends. Teacher Paige Prosser guides students through a college-level understanding of statistics through discussion, activities, and with students designing their own surveys and experiments. As with AP Calculus, students in AP Statistics are building their understanding of college-level concepts so that many can take AP tests through the College Board, earning college credit and higher-level placement when they do go to college. With your support, Valley Center High School is able to provide students in our community with a supportive, challenging, and competitive math pathway. We have an incredible team of math teachers working to provide instruction that is interesting and fun. Math is more than a series of problems on a paper, and our school and district is continuing to give students ways to engage in math through the courses we offer and the new curriculum and tools I have described that are integral in our classrooms. Thank you for allowing me to give you a snapshot this evening of how VCHS is preparing and supporting our students in their study of mathematics through graduation and in preparation for college enrollment and future career goals.
Thank you. At this time, we have a request to address the board. We have one at this time for this part of the meeting. And so I am, of course, must read the Brown Act language here for guidelines for addressing the board. Members of the public are encouraged to attend board meetings and address the board concerning any items on the agenda or within the board's jurisdiction in order to conduct district business in an orderly and efficient manner. The board requires that public presentations to the board comply with Board Bylaw 9323, which includes the following. Members of the public wishing to address the board must complete a request to address the board card prior to the meeting and give it to the board secretary. The board president will recognize each person who has a request to address the board at the proper time and invite them to speak from the podium. Speakers must announce their name prior to addressing the board, and all comments are limited to a total of 3 minutes per person, or 20 minutes per item. The Ralph M. Brown Act limits the Board of Trustees and staff's ability to respond to comments and items not on the agenda. The board may not legally take action on any item not specifically listed on the agenda. If there are concerns regarding specific individuals, it is preferred that the speaker refrains from naming them publicly to respect their privacy. Please note that once the board closes the public input time on an agenda item, only the board and staff are involved in subsequent discussions. Thank you for your cooperation. And we have one speaker for this part, and it is Melissa Elder.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Superintendent, President Adams. My name is Melissa Elder, and I'm here today not to just reiterate things that I've been saying before, but I'm here because I do care about the students, and I know we're all here because we care about the students and their achievements, and to make sure that they have a future worth living for. I want to reiterate, just in case anyone is confused about the things that we've been advocating for the past several months, 5, 6, 7 months. We have specific things that we're asking for the young people, and I'll go through those. But I wanted to bring up some of the items that were discussed in the last board meeting, specifically around the data that we are looking at a goal for the next 3 years of 50% of the students meeting state standards. And what parent would feel good about sending their school to a student to a school that is fine with just a 50% success rate? And I know that that doesn't feel good for me, and hopefully that it doesn't feel good for all of you to feel like half of the students are not meeting expectations. The data also showed that in the 2019, less than 16% of the students were meeting or exceeding statewide in math. And this is before the compounding effects of the pandemic. Is that okay with anyone? And what are we doing to fix this? And when you're talking about graduation rates and you're talking about how we're exceeding state expectations, that isn't something to brag about if we're just pushing students through and they're not meeting the educational needs, if they're not able to read and write at grade level. Again, with this data, it was reported that 25% of the students did not take that test. Which students were not taking this test? Were it students that weren't showing up to school, students that weren't doing good in school? If anything, I would think that that would lower the numbers even further. So with this, transparency is really important because we have to really understand the data in order to move forward and fix it. So what we're asking specifically, again, to meet the needs, the specific and unique needs of Native American students, there's 4 things we're asking for. One of them is for mandatory cultural humility training, so that way teachers, staff, and administration really knows how to deal with the social and emotional needs of the Native American students. We're asking for permanent space on every district's campus site for students to go to, for them to have resources for education centers. And we're asking for indigenizing parent communications and really rebuilding those relationships with families. The reason why parents aren't up here speaking out against their students not being educated is because they've been disenfranchised. So really make that effort to build those relationships with those families. And finally, we're asking for reallocation for funds for full-time aides because part-time isn't cutting it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And we now move to our consent agenda. You see the items listed here. Is there a motion here to approve the consent items?
Also move, and it was my job this month to look through the purchase orders, and all my questions were answered to my satisfaction. So I move that we approve the consent agenda along with the updated personnel listing.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Paul. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second from Member Polito. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
And Member Adams votes aye. We now move to the Superintendent's Division, and we have a report from Superintendent McCowan.
Excellent. So we'll start out here with a couple of pictures like we always do from our school sites. This here is a picture of youth from our ed centers, several of our ed centers throughout our region here that are leading and mentoring our students and the Native Indigenous Club activities and tutoring and leadership at the middle school. And down in the right picture, the bigger one there, you can see 5 of our young people. The exciting part about that is many of these students have gone through our system and are familiar with the students on our campus. So for them to have that relationship and to be able to be looked up to by our junior high students is really a benefit to us. So I want to thank Leani and the Ed Centers for putting this together. Also, I have a little, I don't have a little clicker today, but there is a video there. It's a mass project video from Pauma. And before we start that video, just to introduce it, this is in Mrs. Clark's class, and it is a project that they spend about 2 months on, that they look at California's first people. They study different aspects of their life and how they, their tribes functioned. And then they build a mask to represent the different things that they've learned. And so here's 2 students that'll give you much more detail on what they did. And not only is it a neat project, but it's really neat to watch our students explain and verbalize the activity. Oh.
Hi, my name is Brielle. And my name is Seneca.
What are you guys working on here? What was the project?
We were making masks to represent our tribes.
Okay. Would you like to show your tribe?
Okay, my tribe's over here.
Okay. Do you want to explain a little bit about it?
Well, they lived in the mountains. They ate a lot of stuff. They ate eels and crawfish. That's why I added this seashell. And they had 3 striped tattoos on their chins for women. And mine was a warrior tribe.
Thank you. And what about you?
So mine is over here. And they used to skin deer and bear so they can make it out of blankets. And they used to brush their teeth with sticks. And then they used to plant leaves so they can eat something with it. And then they used to collect flowers for something.
Did you guys have fun doing this project?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Go ahead.
We had to read and research all the things about our tribes.
All right. Thank you, ladies. Have a great day.
Bye.
Can I look now since I won't get a chance?
Okay. Thank you down at Pauma. We also, our next slide is a lunchtime activity at our B school. This is our primary school, TK through 2nd. And this was put on by the Rincon Indian Ed Center. And you can see that everybody is welcome. And they went over language, songs, games, and stories. The neat picture here is just to see the variety of students that are enjoying time and taking advantage of this kind of educational opportunity. The next picture here is a continuation of that. We have Mrs. Callie and Mrs. Cassie from the Rincon Indian Ed Center. They were the helpers that day, or the instructors, and then down below you have the students, and you can see that they're playing some games and having some fun. So good opportunity there at our primary school to have some great interactions. And then our next slide, we had Read Day come through. This is also at the primary school, and you see some of our teachers with Thing 1 and Thing 2 and Cat in the Hat, and you can imagine how the Read Day goes. Here's a classroom in the next slide. Shows our classroom and the kids getting read to by some people from the outside. When I say the outside, not necessarily their teachers, but getting grandparents and parents to come in, and volunteers from the community, which is always fun for our students. I think we can all remember back to story time, and it was probably some of our favorite times. Next slide. This is a thank you for everybody that played in the golf tournament today. We had our high school foundation golf tournament, and one of the things that I told the golfers, all 132 of them, which was an excellent number for us, many of them right here from Valley Center community, many of them even ex-students of our programs, that, you know, as we've gone through this, the COVID-19 and all the different issues it's done, and it's really wreaked havoc on the social and emotional welfare and well-being of our students. One of the best ways for us to re-engage students and for students to re-engage with each other is through all of our extracurricular type activities on our campuses, whether it be choir, drama, sports, academic league, you name it. And the foundation, all that money goes into putting on those kind of programs, because the foundation is an umbrella that fits over all of our ASB clubs and everything. So really their donations and the things they did today is probably one of the best ways we can raise money to serve our students. So thanks to all the great golfers. I would say that I was not one of the great golfers, and I was not in the top 130. So next, on for our commitment as we move through our next phases here of COVID. Remind everybody that our commitment is to our students and staff for safety, support of the social, emotional, and health of our students, and to create effective and equitable learning systems for all of our students. Want to draw your attention to our dashboard. I know this is small up there. What I want to point out is currently in our school district, we have 5 active cases of COVID. In our February meeting, we had 33 active COVID cases. And back in our January meeting, we had 111 active cases. We topped out earlier in January at about 176. So we are very proud to be down at that 5 number. And, you know, it's been almost a full week, and 3 of those cases came back the day we came back to school. They were never really on our campus. So the numbers are just really moving in our direction. The next thing here is a matrix I've shown, or a matrix I've shown before. You can see that our cases per 100,000 is down to 13.6, where before it was up at 22, and you can see up there on 126 it was 275 per 100,000 per day. So that drop down to 13.6 is just incredible. We're seeing a testing positivity rate of about 4.9%. The next graph here, let me see here. I'm got out of order here on mine, but you're correct up there. So the next graph there, this shows the number of positive tests each day, and you can see that the line continues to go down. The 2 graphs pretty much pick up at the end from each of them. And on our board meeting on on February 6th, we had 1,313 cases. Today, or I'm sorry, on 3/6, we had 380 cases, close to 1,000 less in just a month's period of time. So we've also are running on, I think, 6 straight days that we've been below 500. So the picture keeps looking better and better, and we're excited about that as we get back to doing what we do best, and that's the education of children. The next graph here I'm going to bring up, this is a graph that our county is still using. The CDF levels are no longer reported this way. It's different, but I did want to point out, because there's some really neat things on this graph. You can see that the weekly cases of 100,000 at one time was up at 1,962. That's down to 128. On the testing positivity piece, you can see for this last week, we are at 3.6%. And if you look at the far right, you can see that there's color codes that were meant to be used when this graph was in use. And what I don't quite understand is, before, if one of the blocks changed, they would change the color of that block, but you would still be under the highest level. And so if you look at our testing positivity at 3.6, we should be in the lowest transmission possible, which is the one that says below 5. So that box should actually be blue. The next two boxes up should be yellow, and the next block up orange. So you can see over a period of time our testing positivity has really improved up into where we're at today, which is a very low transmission. The next piece that I'm showing is the new COVID-19 color code that the CDC is using, and this is based on the science from the CDC. And the high category is where all people need to wear masks indoors. And at one point, we were still on the high when this first came out 2 weeks ago. In the medium category, the only people that need to wear masks is if you are at a high risk for illness. And then it doesn't even say that. It says to go see your physician to find out what you should do as far as mask wearing goes. And then in the low area, which is green, there is actually no masking requirement, no distancing requirement. It just says to stay updated on your COVID-19 vaccines and get tested if you're symptomatic. What's important about this is when we go to the next map, you'll see that we are in the green in San Diego County. Everybody around us is in the green, except for if you look over to Imperial County, which is yellow, which is also in the low area. One of I think the most important things that came out with the CDC and their new way of looking at it, they look at three main factors: your positivity rate, how many people in the hospital how many COVID patients are admitted to the hospital, and then how many beds do you have available in the hospital. And when they look at those three parameters, then they can predict what kind of mitigations that you need to have in place. And so the other piece of that, if you look, they now include K-12 settings as if they're the same as all the other settings in our community, which I think over time will really help with a lot of the conflict that we've had over mask wearing. So where do we go from here? With the numbers improving, we are looking at the next slide. The governor has removed the mask mandate as of 11:59 on Saturday morning, or Friday night, I guess that would be. Students and staff will have a choice at this point to wear masks or not, regardless of the vaccination status. So what I want to spend the next couple of slides going through, I know that people are divided over masks and no masks, and some people, there is a real anxiety, or there's a real concern as the masks come off, because maybe they have underlying conditions or they have people at home. I mean, there's legitimate concerns here. So we want to go over what we're doing to help. And the first thing I want to state here is a briefing that was done by the CDC, Dr. Mazzetti. And what she stated was what they've known pretty much through this whole thing. We should keep in mind that some people may choose to wear a mask at any time based on their personal preference. And importantly, people who wear a high-quality mask are well protected, even if others around them are not masking. So if we have parents that are concerned about sending their students or teachers, it's important to hear what the doctor from CDC has to say. You will still have a high level of protection with a well-fitting mask. Now, we as a district are going to continue to hand out masks to students. We're going to continue to support our students and staff that want to wear masks, along with our students and staff that don't. And what we really want to do is make sure that everybody has an understanding that this is a personal choice, and it's a choice that shouldn't be held against you one way or the other. You just let someone have their personal choice. What we want to talk about with masking here as we look, the next slide, we're going to offer two different types of masks. You can still get the surgical masks, which most people are wearing out here today. The other thing that we do have a stockpile or a certain amount of N95s for students that are, say, 2nd grade to 12th grade. And then we have some KN95s, and the difference kind of looks like this. This is kind of a plain Dole N95, green. And for our little ones, we have these colorful rocket ships and different ones that they will be able to wear and enjoy. And the good part is they're all the same, so students won't want to trade them. The N95s and KN95s do come with a little bit of a, they are much more restrictive, so it's something that a parent, we encourage you to talk to your physician to make sure that's the mask you want over a surgical mask. There'll be a letter going home tomorrow, and in that letter we will introduce the new rules on masking. We'll have a link that you will go to. You'll get explained what the KN95s and N95s, what exactly is the best way to use them, to clean them, because they can be used multiple times, and then you'll click a button and it'll put your name into the system that you will then those will be handed to your students on Monday. So not only are we encouraging students who and staff who feel more comfortable with wearing the mask, we're actually are able to provide even a better quality mask for them. The other thing here in the next slide, we would like to make sure everybody understands that there are other mitigation efforts that have helped keep our schools safe, and we will continue these. Our hand sanitizing stations around campus, we'll make sure and keep those functional and up to par. We have emphasis on good hygiene. We have the high air quality filters in our HVACs in all of our systems now. We also have an air purifier in our HVAC systems, and our HVAC airflow ventilation is at the maximized number of exchanges with outside air. These are three of the biggest things that CDC and CDPH say is the best way to keep our schools as safe as they can be. The other thing is we still have free COVID testing at our school sites for our students if they are symptomatic. And then we're going to continue to follow the CDPH guidelines when it comes to testing and contact tracing, and who we have to have stay at home if they are sick, etc. And then the number one thing that we can do all as a community, keep our students in school, is that when a student and or staff member doesn't feel good, stay home. That's the number one thing we can do to keep COVID off of our campuses. So we will keep pushing these facts, and we'll keep working with our students, our parents, and our staff that these things stay in place so that we can accomplish the goal we want, which is students in attendance being able to learn in our schools. And next slide. That is it for me. Any questions from the board or no?
Explained it pretty well. Thank you very much
thank you.
for thoroughness in this. I appreciate it very much, and look forward to Monday. I'm sure it'll be a good day for our students and staff. We have to nominate some members to the CSBA Delegate Assembly. For those in the audience, that means California School Board Association. Maran, did you have something for that?
Yeah, I was just going to turn it over to any board member who has either a recommendation or want to give the board some information.
I believe member Wendy already has some.
I had an opportunity to do a little bit of research on our candidates, and so I would like to make a recommendation for us to consider in nominating. So the majority are individuals who have served previously, so quite a few of them are the incumbents, and there's a few additional parties as well. So I'm just going to read off the names for the sake of my colleagues here. Marco Amaral from South Bay Union School District, Maria Bentecourt Castañeda from National School District, Eleanor Evans from Oceanside Union School District, Humberto Gurmilan from San Isidro School District, Claudine Jones from Carlsbad Unified School District, Julie Kelly from Vista, G. Wa Mock from Del Mar Union, Tamara Otero from Cajon Valley Union, and the last one is Marla Strick from Encinitas Union. And my intention there was kind of giving a cross-section of a variety of districts, I guess, if you will, and making sure we have a good representation of North County as well.
So you want to make that into a motion?
I will roll that into a motion. So all the names that I just stated, I would like to make a motion that we nominate them to be a part of the delegate assembly
From our school, as our school district.
from our school district.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, I'm glad they're involved with it. Any discussion on this? I remember reading about all those. Discussion, no discussion?
I wondered if she had any, that's
Any
why I sent
thoughts?
something to her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
I just know a couple of them, but I don't know the whole list,
Yeah, I
so
don't
I
either.
can't comment
I'll
on
take
that.
your
I've
judgment
researched a
on
few.
those.
Okay. Great.
Oh, okay, seeing no further discussion, we'll call for the vote on those. There's a motion and a second. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye?
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Member Adams votes aye.
Now, I think
Yes, go
for
ahead.
procedures, we'll have to sign the ballot, and then Nancy, do you mail the ballot in for us? Okay, and I think it's
Okay.
signed by the president, and so we'll take care of that after the meeting.
Okay. The board will conduct a second reading and consider the approving the following revised board policies and administrative regulations, BP 6170.1. And this policy updated to reflect the new law, AB 130, which gradually revised the time spans for mandatory transitional kindergarten admittance such that by the 2025-2026 school year, children who turn 4 by September 1st will be eligible for TK in addition to other changes. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
We have a motion, and is there a second?
I'll second.
And a second on the TK. Any discussion? Okay, we'll proceed with the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye?
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
And Member Adams votes aye. Okay. The board will now conduct the first reading of the following revised board policies and administrative regulations. They are AR 1312.3, BP 1312.3, and BB 9320. These will be brought before the board at the April 21st meeting, at which time the board will consider them for approval. And they are the Uniform Complaint Procedures, 1312.3, regulations that updated to delete outdated and or repealed U.S. Department of Education official for Office for Civil Rights references, and where appropriate, add current OCR material to ensure consistency and compliance with current federal programming. 1312.3 is the Uniform Complaint Procedures, policies updated to reflect the new law, AB 131-2021, which renumbers certain code sections to ensure consistency with federal programs. And 9320, meetings and notices, the bylaw updated to clarify that is discussion among themselves via technology of a majority of the governing board regarding an item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board that can result in a violation of the Brown Act. Additionally, language has been added to address the new law, AB 361, that authorizes boards until January 1, 2024, to conduct board meetings by teleconference as specified under the proclaimed state of emergency, what with all the, COVID
Yeah.
stuff that we had to do. All right. At this time, we are introducing item 7, which is an introduction to American Indian Study, which there will be a presentation next month. First reading, we have some speakers for that. The first one is Esmeralda Salcedo.
I'm sorry, it was Amy.
Oh, I'm sorry, it says this one here, next, my bad. Amy Admire, and there's let's see, someone else is ceding the time. Oh, that was you, okay, I got it straight.
Good evening, Board and Superintendent. My name is Amy Admire from the Rincon Indian Reservation, from the Rincon Indian Education Center. I am Payam Kawicham. A few months ago, I shared with you that, like many of our students, I'm a survivor of trauma. Tonight, I feel compelled to share something else about myself that I don't typically share, as we are raised to not bring attention to ourselves, though I feel it is relevant in this conversation. In 2019, I was awarded one of several National Community Impact Awards from the National Indian Health Board. And when I say I really mean we, as our work here at the center is a team effort. I mention this because I often leave these and most district-led meetings feeling undervalued and as though the district does not see myself or our team as professionals that should be consulted and meaningfully collaborated with, or as people who possess the vast amount of knowledge that is required to understand what it means to best meet the unique and specific needs of our students. While the district may not see us as possessing the authority to understand the needs of our students, I feel that it's important for you to know that our work is being recognized for those attributes nationally and at the state level by the Sierra Health Foundation, the National Indian Health Board, and the California Endowment, and others. I share this to preface the following acknowledgments and concerns around the proposed dual credit course syllabus titled American Indian Studies. In October, we began discussions with the assistant superintendent around the creation and implementation of a culturally responsive credit recovery option that could re-engage the 40% of students who had not returned to Oak Glen. And just as a reminder, there were 573 Native Americans identified on the Title VI application, and this year there are 507. And so we still don't have the data as to where those other students went, but we are waiting for that data. We discussed a series of mini or micro courses in combination with SDCOE and Indian Education for All, which would be relevant to the Native and non-Native students alike, and would hopefully mitigate some of the violence, bullying, and substance use misuse on our campuses. These courses and programming were to be in collaboration with not only our education center, but other interested education centers as well. We again met in February to discuss this with SDCOE and had agreed upon a purpose, which was to give our Native students connection to place and purpose and bring the community together in greater understanding of complex history while offering credit recovery options. When we read the proposed syllabus that was put forward for review, we think it sounds like an excellent resource for students who already have a foundational grounding in their communities and a basic understanding of local history. Our concern is that our original discussion for credit recovery was focused on our Oak Glen students and their specific needs, and others like them who might need that credit recovery, whether they're at Oak Glen or not. This course does not address those needs. The students we were hoping to engage, we feel, are in need of protective factors that support growth in their identity and pride and inspire the visualization of who they can become. We feel that once our students have built this foundation, they can then be exposed to diverse American Indian perspectives and a broad introduction to interdisciplinary methods in the field of American Indian Studies, as outlined in the syllabus. If this syllabus is approved without meeting or in alignment with the concurrent mental health needs of our students, so we're not saying we don't want this course, we do, but it isn't written for the intended students. It will show that alternative objectives, such as creating a model for the future development of ethnic studies courses, are being prioritized over the emotional stability of our young people. And we know that this syllabus is being put forward to in hopes of building this model curriculum for ethnic studies later down the road. But what we had proposed was to meet our students' immediate needs right now. So put forward a class for them, about them, and then thereby they would obtain credits. And they, like I said, we need to address their needs right now. So when we met with our youth at the beginning of the year, or when we meet with our youth at the beginning of the year, we always ask them what it is they want from us and offer what it is we want from them. So while this syllabus looks like an awesome college course, like I said, for students who already have that basic foundation, and Ms. Esmeralda has, we wanted to share with you, we always ask our students what they want, and what they want and need is language, 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 stories, songs, games. They write their names and their reservations when we ask them what they want because they want to see more of them. So this syllabus is put forward to offer a broad experience of Native Americans, but that's not what our students want or what they need right now. So we'd like to see a course like we had been outlining with the assistant superintendent and SDCOE Stacy Block that is more relevant to what the students need now. And then we'd like to see them be offered this type of course after they already have those needs met, right, of knowing more about themselves. And so we feel that this college level dual course is not appropriate for those students who are in need of immediate credit recovery sources, foremost because many of them are not reading or writing at grade level. So this course that's been outlined for credit recovery for high school students especially when we had been talking about the Oak Glen students in particular, does not seem like somebody did the research to look at where the students are now, to if that syllabus was compatible with where those students are academically. Does that I hope that makes sense. So Native students who can benefit from an academic credit recovery option that includes support resources from our and other education centers
Yeah, you can summarize, yeah.
are currently in recovery from years of grief and loss of people and loss of culture. We are asking for the consideration of a course about them for them. I'm not asking you to see me. Again, I'm not asking you to see me up here. The unintended byproduct of the continued disenfranchisement of community members, which prevents them from standing here instead of me, is why I'm here. I'm asking you to see the needs of our students, as our aunties were and have been asking you, and as our mothers have been asking you for decades. We want all of our parents to feel like Mr. Abel, right? Proud of our students. But our students, because of our specific and unique needs, they might fall into substance abuse and other issues that keep our families from being able to lift up our young people. And we, again, are just asking you to consider what our students' needs currently are and worry about the ethnic studies that's coming down the road as we go. And I think we can do these things parallel. There's no reason we can't have classes that support the needs now and also seeing the future. I just don't want it to be either or. Additionally,
Can you summarize, please?
Yes. We have been excited to see the speed in which this board and which the assistant superintendent has been able to bring something to the table when it is chosen to do so, when you all have chosen to do so. We pray that we will continue to see this type of movement regarding our past and future asks and recommendations regarding meeting the needs of our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input. We now have, thank you. And finally, we have Melissa Elder.
No, Melissa.
Oh, you ceded your time for that too? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you very much for your input. At this time, we will move to the adoption of middle school social studies curriculum, which is also the first reading, which was in your packet, and that will be presented at the next meeting as well. At this time, we have 3 stipulated expulsion agreements. Again, there can be no discussion on these. The first is number 2021-2022-SA-05. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
There is a motion, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. I'll now call for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
And Member Adams votes aye. The second one is 2021-2022-SA-06. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, and is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
And Member Adams votes aye. And finally, the third one here, number 2021-2022-SA-07. Do I have a motion for that?
Also move.
There is a motion, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Member Adams votes aye. We now move to our business division, and we have a presentation to approve the positive certification for the second interim report. Mr. Peterson?
Thank you. Looking for the slides.
I'm sure they don't want to see my ugly mug up there, so let's get the,
Kind of glad it's focused on you, not me.
Yeah, I'm like moving over.
There we go. That's not the first slide, that's one of the last slides.
Very
Very
good.
good.
We go.
Thank you.
Okay.
We thank you for the chance to present to you this evening the second interim report.
You have the entire SACS report in your board packet, and this presentation will summarize the highlights of the second interim report. The Assembly Bill 1200 requires school districts to complete 2 interim financial reports each year, and this is the second of those 2 reports that covers the general operating fund of the school district. I'd like to thank the entire business office staff, led by Director of Finance Michael Aviles and Financial Analyst Diane Faber, for their hard work in developing this report. In addition to the current year's budget, a multi-year projection will be presented. Based on adjustments we are making from actual transactions to date, here is a summary of the revised budget. Our beginning fund balance was $17.8 million. Revenues have been adjusted upward primarily to a significant higher than anticipated unduplicated pupil count and the receipt of the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. Budgeted expenditures are down slightly due to budget adjustments such as health and welfare benefits. All this leaves us with a projected ending balance of about $17.9 million. The projected ending fund balance of about $17.9 million is allocated to various assignments and commitments, some of which are mandated, such as the restricted funds and the reserve for economic uncertainties, and some are our own commitments to meet future needs during budget development. For example, it would be wise to have a cushion to soften the impact of declining enrollment when the hold harmless period ends, and to set aside some funds for necessary deferred maintenance needs, technological device replacement, or to replace aging school buses, for example. The assumptions used to generate the multi-year projection, the MYP, are based on the recommendations of School Services of California and the Department of Finance. At budget adoption and at first interim, we had planned for a 2.48% COLA next year, cost of living adjustment. However, the governor proposed a 5.33% COLA in his January budget proposal and 3.61% the following year. So we are including those factors in our second interim report, and we hope to see those proposals remain when the governor presents his May revision. Also, please note that our district contribution to STRS and PERS, the employee pension systems, are scheduled to increase significantly next year, as the governor's January budget proposal did not include any pension relief. Based on the assumptions just shared with you, this is the summary multi-year projection. These projections begin with our $17.8 million beginning balance and then include the governor's proposed 5.33% COLA, followed by 3.61% COLA, and assume that we will be carrying roughly the same teaching sections in the next 2 school years. The MYP includes overall decreases to revenue due to enrollment decline and the steep ADA cliff that we face. And the MYP includes significant increases to STRS and PERS in the next 2 years, along with step and column increases, resulting in projected deficit spending in the next 2 years, which results in decreasing our reserve balance to $13.3 million at the end of the 23-24 fiscal year. These assumptions do not include any salary increases that may be negotiated next year or the following year. This chart reflects our projected cash flow for the remainder of the fiscal year. The blue bars show the amount of revenue we should receive in each month of the fiscal year, and the green bars show the projected expenditures for that month. The orange line shows our projected cash balance each month. This chart indicates that we should not have any cash flow problems in the near future. As always mentioned, declining enrollment is our primary fiscal challenge, and now even more so because the state's ADA hold harmless provision ends in June. By performing a cohort rollover analysis, we can see that declining enrollment will continue to be an issue. We declined by about 40 students this year, which isn't as bad as we thought it would be. After performing a cohort rollover analysis, next year we project to decline by 55 students, even after making an assumption that we will enroll 40 new students next year from new residential construction in Valley Center. Even though our enrollment has continued to decline each year, we received a reprieve on our average daily attendance, ADA, this year due to the pandemic. The state's hold harmless provision allowed our ADA to remain virtually the same this year as last year. However, that hold harmless provision expires at the end of this school year. Next year, we return to the normal system, which means your ADA is funded at the actual ADA level of the previous year or the current year if it's higher. So next year, our funded ADA could drop by almost 200 students all at once. Therefore, you see in our MYP projection, the drop in revenue for next year, even despite the assumed 5.33% COLA. However, we do have a ray of hope. The governor's proposed budget from January included a provision that our ADA could be based on a rolling 3-year average. If the legislature approves that proposal, our funded ADA decline could be cut in half from about 200 students to 100 students, and that would help us tremendously. So what's ahead? We will begin the hard work of putting together next year's budget during the next 3 months. In the middle of May, the governor will present his May revision, and we will monitor whether his budget proposals that would impact our school district are going to stick, such as the 5.33% COLA, the 3-year rolling average for ADA, an increase to the SPED base rate, and some promising grant proposals for more electric buses, dual enrollment programs, and expansion of some CTE pathways and funding. We will bring a proposed budget for your approval at our June board meeting, and as always, the board will exercise its stewardship of our public funds to ensure that we maximize opportunities for our students while striving to maintain a balanced budget. Thank you for the opportunity to share the highlights from our second interim report. Because we will meet the minimum reserve requirement, we recommend that the board adopt a positive certification of the second interim report.
Very good. Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Peterson. Very thorough, as usual. And he does make a recommendation. Does anyone want to make that into a motion? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm hoping that the new homes will at least give us some students to help minimize the enrollment drops that everyone is facing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, then seeing none, I will call for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Aye. Item C is to approve a resolution number 2021-2022-08, which is authorizing the district to utilize the Waterford Unified School District's co-op bid number 01-/22 to purchase electric buses. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. How many buses is this going to be?
2 buses.
Two.
This is a grant that's already been approved for us, so we know we're getting 2 electric buses.
Okay.
We'll be received vouchers for $780,000 for those 2 buses, which means our out-of-pocket cost is $67,000 to buy 2 school buses.
That's huge. Wow,
great.
thanks for your hard work.
That's great.
Can I clarify, does that come with the charging stations and all that as part of this one, or is this?
Not this. This particular item tonight is just for the buses, but once the board, if the board approves this tonight, then tomorrow we get started on applying for an SDG&E grant for the infrastructure.
Oh, great.
And that'll offset probably 80% of the cost of building the infrastructure for
Wow.
charging stations that
That's
we'll need.
good. With the price of gas going up, that's really going to help. So-
And it will probably take up to a year to receive the buses. They don't actually manufacture them until the order is made.
I see.
So we have a year to get the infrastructure in place too.
Okay, thank you.
That's great.
Very good. Thank you for your work on that. All right, we have a motion and a second on that. Any further discussion or questions?
That's great.
Okay, I'll proceed with the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye.
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Member Adams votes aye. And item C is to approve the resolution number 2021-2022-10 and HVIP bus purchase agreement. Do I have a motion
So moved.
and a second?
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion on that item? What buses are we talking about for this one?
This one is also, we're asking for approval to buy 2 buses. This is a different grant program. And the vouchers would be $198,000 per bus, which means we can buy the buses for approximately 50%.
Okay.
Our contribution would be
Yeah,
about
some of our buses
half.
are really
Yeah.
We have an
30
aging
years.
bus fleet. Our old diesel buses are quite old, some of them. And so these grants are opportunities to replace some of our old buses with electric buses at very little cost to the district or at a 50% discount. I didn't mention that the first one that you just already approved requires us to dispose of 2 old diesel buses, as in like have them smashed.
Wow.
They have to be taken off the roads. We cannot sell them to anyone. It's to improve the climate. But with this one right here, I don't believe it requires us to destroy
Okay, there
any
you go.
buses in order to receive these vouchers.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Appreciate your thorough work on getting that for us. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye?
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Member Adams votes aye. All right, and the Human Resources Division, we have to approve a resolution 2010-2022-09, the release of temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code Section 54, my bad. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
The annual thing that we have to do every year. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to make one comment, and this is geared towards our personnel director and also towards John. There are some districts in our local area that are still needing to do layoffs in this period, and we're just very happy that these are our temporary contracts. Some of these contracts will be renewed because we'll need them again for next year, but we're not doing actual layoffs, and so we're pretty happy about that. I think this is the 3rd year in a row not having to go down that road, which is not a good place to go.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, is there any further discussion? It's an annual thing we have to do here. Thank you for that. I'll call for the vote now. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye?
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Member Adams votes aye. The public hearing, item B of the Valley Center-Pauma Teachers Association, which is the now CTA, NEA, initial proposal for openers to the Valley Center-Pauma Unified School District contract year 2022 to 2023. I will gavel in the time at 7:21. Sorry. Do we have a speaker on that topic? I don't think we do.
I don't think we have to speak on that.
No, okay. And we have that information that you've already been presented with, and there is no other one, so we will gavel out also at 7:21. Is there a motion for that? To accept the openers from the union?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to accept that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, then I will proceed with the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye?
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Member Adams votes aye. And also here, finally, we have the public hearing on the Valley Center-Pauma Unified School District initial proposal and openers to the Valley Center-Pauma Teachers Association for the successor agreement to the 2022-2023 contract. Okay, and I will gather the time in at 7:22. Mr. Superintendent, do we have anyone wishing to speak on that topic? Or a secretary? No, I didn't. Okay, no? Okay. Gavel out is at the same time, 7:22. Do I have a motion to accept that from the union?
Also move.
We have a motion and a second.
Okay, there you go.
Sure.
Okay, any discussion? I think we saw that already a little bit. All right, I'll call the vote. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye?
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
And Member Adams votes aye. Advanced planning is the governance workshop on Thursday, March 31st. That's a one-day workshop. And our regular board meeting the next regular board meeting is after spring break, which is April 21st at 6 p.m. here in the VCHS Media Center. I will now call for adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Also move.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, I will call for the vote at this time. Member Benjamin?
Aye.
Member Heredia?
Aye?
Member Polito?
Aye.
Member Stroh?
Aye.
Member Adams votes aye. This meeting is adjourned.
Good job, Greg.
We did our best. Here we go. That's for you. And we have some things we have to sign.